Hello there, I'm Shafika Razali and thanks for joining me this Wednesday on 7Edition. The top stories. Pahang to mourn late Sultan of Pahang for 30 days. New leads of Jolo's whereabouts emerged. And 6 dead as post-election clashes erupt. Good evening. Pahang's Paduka Ayahanda Sultan Ahmad Shah Al-Mustain Bila Ibni Almarhum Sultan Abu Bakar breathed his last at Kuala Lumpur's National Heart Institute IJN early today. Pahang Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Wan Rusdi Wan Ismail, who made this announcement, said that the former Sultan of Pahang died at 8:50 this morning. Following his death, the state government declared a public holiday tomorrow for Pahang.
Upacara rasmi akan bermula pada pukul 9 pagi apabila jenazah akan diangkat ke pesada, dan waktu itu hanya ziarah sahajalah. Sebelum pukul 9 pagi, sesiapa sahaja orang Islam boleh mendirikan solat jenazah di Balai Rong Seri.
From IJN, the remains of the former ruler were brought to Istana Negara at 11 a.m. for further arrangements. At Istana Negara, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad and wife Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali paid their last respects to the late Sultan Ahmad Shah earlier this afternoon. And it was 5:40 p.m. The body of the late Sultan arrived at the Royal Malaysian Air Force RMAF base in Subang to be flown to the Kuantan Air Base before being taken to Istana Abu Bakar in Pekan. His remains will be buried at the Royal Burial Grounds next to the Sultan Ahmad Shah Mosque after Zohor prayers tomorrow. And as a mark of respect, the Pahang flag is flying at half-mast from today for 40 days, while entertainment events will not be held in Pahang for 3 days. Members of royal families, ministers and dignitaries will be allowed to pay their last respects beginning 11 a.m. tomorrow. A sense of sadness spread not only in Pahang but across the nation following news of the passing of the late Sultan. Tributes, condolences and words of gratitude for the former ruler and Pahang's royal family continue to pour in. The Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad and his wife Tun Dr. Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali conveyed their condolences in a statement to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong and to the Pahang royal household on the death of the King's father. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail on Twitter also expressed her condolences to the entire Pahang royal family. Royalties across the nation also expressed their sadness over the demise of Sultan Ahmad Shah, including the Sultan of Johor. And Malaysians from all walks of life, in paying tribute to the former ruler, described him as one who was well loved. The former Pahang ruler was born on October 24, 1930 at Istana Mangga Tunggal in Pekan. He was the only son of Sultan Abu Bakar and Tengku Ampuan Fatimah. Sultan Ahmad Shah married Tengku Ampuan Afzan Tengku Panglima Perang Tengku Muhammad in 1954. The couple was blessed with 2 sons and 5 daughters. Sultan Ahmad Shah ascended the throne of the largest state in Peninsular Malaysia on May 7, 1974, following the passing of Sultan Abu Bakar. He also served as the 7th Yang di-Pertuan Agong from 1979 to 1984. After Tengku Ampuan Afzan passed away, Sultan Ahmad Shah married Sultanah Kalsum, and from the union they had Prince Tengku Arif Temenggung Pahang Tengku Faad Muazzam. The Sultan was known as a keen sportsman who loved football, golf and polo. He even became the Football Association of Malaysia president from 1984 to 2014. Sultan Ahmad Shah had been ill for some time, and thus an amendment to the state constitution was made to allow the Pahang Royal Council to conduct his abdication earlier this year. Police revealed today that new leads have emerged on the whereabouts of fugitive businessman Joe Low, who is linked to the One Malaysia Development Berhad or 1MDB scandal. After a brief visit to the Kelantan side of the Malaysian-Thailand border, Inspector General of Police Datuk Sri Abdul Hamid Bado said the police will be doing its best to bring the Malaysian fugitive businessman back home in the near future. The top cop, however, declined to reveal what sort of new leads were obtained by Bukit Aman on Low.
InsyaAllah ada. Sabar aja. Ada. Saya serius. Ada. Sabar.
Maksudnya dah kena pastikan lah.
Oh tahu dah lama dah. Tapi dah semakin hari dia punya nyawa dia semakin apalah, ya. InsyaAllah. Itulah yang dikatakan jenayah ni tak berbaloi. Mana kita nak menyuruh, tidak akan selamat di mana-mana pun kalau dah melakukan jenayah. Saya tak cakap.
Akan bawa balik
InsyaAllah kita akan cuba. Semua orang tertunggu-tunggu, ya.
The top cop added that the fugitive businessman's actions have plunged the country into high levels of bad debt, stressing that Low should be responsible for the mess. Low has been charged in Malaysia and in the US with receiving more than $1 billion or 4.2 billion ringgit from 1MDB in 2009 and 2011, as well as with money laundering. He, however, has consistently denied any wrongdoing.
Trust is the fundamental aspect.
A former senior officer of a company has been remanded for 4 days starting today to assist in a probe over an alleged corruption case involving the supply of armoured vehicle equipment to a defence agency. The 56-year-old man who carries the title of Dato was hauled by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) to the Putrajaya Magistrates Court at about 10 this morning. He was detained yesterday night at the Graftbusters headquarters in Putrajaya. MACC Deputy Chief Commissioner of Operations Datuk Sri Azam Baki was reported as saying that many more people would be summoned over the case. So far, several high-ranking company executives, including a chief executive officer and a chief financial officer, have been remanded on allegations of graft in the defence contract worth 17 million ringgit. DRB Highcom Berhad has subsequently confirmed that the MACC was investigating its subsidiary, Defence Technology Sendirian Berhad, DefTech. The contract pertains to the supply of equipment for the DefTech armoured fighting vehicles to a defence agency between 2014 and 2017. An MACC investigation is underway for accepting gratification. Now, police detained 25 men, including senior citizen, while they were gambling in an empty premise in Kapar, Kelang late last night. The raid, which was conducted at about midnight, was based on a public tip-off and police surveillance, which was done a few days prior to the operation. Selangor Anti-Vice Gaming and Secret Society Crime Division D7 Chief DSP Azmi Syukur said ardent gamblers frequent the premise and the areas around it from evening to midnight. The organisers of the gambling activities had also provided liquor to the gamblers at the premise. Minimum stake for the bets were as low as 10 ringgit. Police seized playing cards, gambling tables, chairs and cash worth more than 3,000 ringgit. 2 organisers of the gambling activities were also detained. All of the suspects, aged between 30 to 70 years old, were taken to the Klang Utara Police Headquarters for further action. The case is being investigated under the Common Gaming Houses Act. Now, 3 drug pushers were arrested in a raid on a luxury residence in Tanjung Lobang yesterday. Sarawak Police said in the 11 a.m. raid, various types of drugs, including ecstasy, Aramin 5 and ketamine pills and powder worth over 82,000 ringgit, was seized. The 3 suspects comprise a 24-year-old local man from Miri and 2 Vietnamese women in their 20s. Police also seized jewellery and 28 pieces of gold-plated keys worth 30,752 ringgit. The suspects' activities began in 2018 and they focused mostly on entertainment centres around Miri. Local man was also tested positive for drugs. The case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act, which carries mandatory death penalty upon conviction. When we return, lighter causes hot pot soup to explode in China. Details next. Thanks for staying with us. 2 police officers and 5 rank-and-file policemen have been arrested to assist investigations in connection with a robbery case involving a businessman on Sunday. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Datuk Sri Mazlan Lazim said in a statement yesterday that they were detained for extorting 200,000 ringgit from a money changer at Bangunan Cahaya Surya under the guise of a police raid. They are now under remand until May 24th. Of the officers arrested, one is an inspector from the Royal Malaysia Police Technical College in Muar, while the other is an inspector from the Petaling Jaya Police Headquarters Narcotics Division. Of the rank-and-file policemen, 3 from the Sea Park Police Station, 1 was from the Petaling Jaya IPD and the other from the Jalan Bandar Traffic Police Station. Also arrested were 4 other men, including a Bank Negara Malaysia staff who were caught yesterday. All the suspects were between 31 and 41 years old. Datuk Sri Mazlan explained that the case involved a businessman who lodged a police report on Sunday. The man claimed that 9 individuals had introduced themselves as police officers from Bukit Aman's Commercial Crime Investigation Department and Central Bank officials. The man said that they accused him of carrying out money-changing activities without a business license. The businessman and his 4 employees were arrested while cash amounting to 4,000 ringgit kept in the safe was confiscated. The suspects had also ordered the complainant to pay 200,000 ringgit if he wanted to be released. Out of fear, he handed over the amount as ordered. Datuk Sri Mazlan said he viewed the matter seriously and would not compromise with any police officer or personnel or civilians involved in any criminal act. Khalid Mashal, former chairman of the Islamic Resistance Movement of Palestine, Hamas, today met with Tun Dr. Mahathir to convey the situation and struggles in Palestine. A delegation of 8 Hamas leaders, led by Khalid, had a discussion with Tun Dr. Mahathir which lasted for about an hour. They spoke about the US's deal of the century aimed to end the Palestinian struggle and settle the Palestinian issue unfairly. Khalid claimed that the economic part of the purported peace plan to be announced in Bahrain next month was aimed to divert attention from the real cause in Palestine. He thanked the Prime Minister for the warm welcome accorded to his delegation and conveyed gratitude for his continuous stand together with Palestinians to end the Israeli occupation. Khalid said Hamas also expressed its hopes that Tun Dr. Mahathir, as a senior leader of the Muslim Ummah, would play a role in ending the aggression against the Palestinian people, especially in the Gaza Strip. Now, let's hop on to our daily segment Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. With all the bustling and hustling around the restaurant, accidents are more prone to happen. Unfortunately, it was not a joyful blast at this particular eatery in China's Yunnan province last Wednesday, when a hot pot in a restaurant called Hai Di Lao allegedly exploded in its contents on a waitress's face after a customer accidentally dropped a lighter in the soup. The CCTV footage, which went viral online, shows the unsuspecting waitress casually digging in the soup with metal spoons while 2 seated customers look on. Suddenly, the lighter presumably explodes in the soup, causing the scalding hot liquid to burst and land on her, as well as on the diners sitting near the table. Unfortunately for the poor waitress, her face and parts of her upper body were scalded and was rushed to the hospital for treatment. Fortunately, the 2 customers escaped with light injuries. In the meantime, the franchise is investigating the accident and has not confirmed if any action is taken upon the customer who dropped the lighter. Another similar accident occurred in China last February, where a customer reportedly threw a lighter into a hot pot in a restaurant in Chongqing, resulting in an explosion. Fortunately, no one was injured, but strangely, no action was taken over the customer's ignorant act. According to a Burns article by ResearchGate, generally users are advised to keep lighters far from temperatures above 49 degrees Celsius, as an overheat can cause the plastic covering to melt and release its fuel, which, when ignited, will cause an explosion. Badly enough, hot pot temperatures range from 87 to 103 degrees Celsius, which is much higher than the limit. Theoretically, this may be the cause behind these two incidents. The Martin Tower in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, US was reduced to rubble on Sunday, the long-awaited demolition that gathered thousands of witnesses. The 21-story structure, built with 16,000 tons of steel, was opened in 1972 but had been vacant for the past 12 years. A video of the spectacular obliteration, which went down in under 16 seconds, swiftly went viral across social media platforms, raking in over 80,000 views. Take a look. The News Straits Times today reported that potential sponsors have reached out to the Negara administration to offer a helping hand in keeping it afloat. Negara Deputy President Rosli Rahmat Ahmad Lana told NST that some parties had expressed interest in sponsoring the zoo, but did not reveal further details. Negara used to receive 5-year federal grants of 5 million ringgit from the government, but this ended in 2004. It has since survived on one-off federal aid for maintenance and upkeep. The zoo needs 500,000 visitors annually to break even from ticket sales, but this target is rarely reached. Earnings from ticket sales are spent on maintenance and upkeep, leaving no room for expansion of any sort. Coming up, Theresa May promises new Brexit referendum. Don't go away. Authorities said on Wednesday that 6 people were killed and 200 others injured in a civil unrest in the Indonesian capital. Police have arrested at least 20 people accused of provoking riots, which has now prompted authorities to block social media in certain areas. This following Tuesday's official results showing President Joko Widodo, or Jokowi, had been re-elected. Protests that started peacefully on Tuesday turned violent in the evening, forcing police to fire tear gas to disperse the crowd. Cars parked near an apartment housing the police's mobile brigade was set ablaze. Police were checking on reports of casualties, but stressed that security officers on the ground, which included military personnel, were not equipped with live bullets. 40,000 police and army personnel were on duty across Jakarta in a bid to maintain security. The General Election Commission on Tuesday confirmed unofficial counts by private pollsters in the April 17th election, which gave Jokowi a 55.5% share of votes against 44.5% for his opponent, former General Prabowo Subianto. Jokowi won more than 85 million votes of a total of 154 million cast in the world's third largest democracy, but Prabowo told reporters he believed there had been widespread cheating. On Monday, an election supervisory agency dismissed claims of systematic cheating, citing a lack of evidence, while independent observers have said the poll was free and fair. Airstrikes by Syrian ally Moscow killed 12 civilians in a market in Idlib on Wednesday, driving the death toll to 64 people, including 29 pro-government fighters and 23 militants. This came as heavy clashes raged in the north of neighbouring Hama province after the militants launched a counter-attack on Tuesday against pro-government forces in the town of Kafr Nabuda. The strike rained on the crowded market, which saw people out and about after iftar. Another 18 people were left wounded when the warplanes hit the jihadist-held town of Ma'arat al-Numan around Tuesday midnight. This marks the biggest upsurge in a long and violent campaign to recapture the last province in the country between President Bashar al-Assad and his enemies in Idlib and a belt of territories around it. Russia and rebel ally Turkey inked a buffer zone deal in September to protect the region of some 3 million people amid fears of a massive regime offensive. However, regime fire has increased again since militant group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham took control in January. Meanwhile, in Somalia, a car bomb exploded near a checkpoint in Mogadishu on Wednesday, killing at least 2 people and wounding 12 others. The bombing was claimed by Daesh militant group Al-Shabaab, which said in a statement it had targeted a convoy escorting officials and lawmakers heading to the presidential palace. Officials said the car bomb blast struck at a checkpoint near Daljirka, where some casualties included members of the security forces. Several vehicles nearby were also destroyed in the explosion, and ambulances rushed to the scene to collect the wounded people. Shabaab fighters have been fighting for more than a decade to topple the government. They fled positions they once held in Mogadishu in 2011 and have since lost many of their strongholds. But they retain control of large rural swaths of the country and continue to wage a guerrilla war against the authorities. British Prime Minister Theresa May on Tuesday has offered lawmakers a vote on whether to hold a second Brexit referendum, as well as further assurances on the backstop. This as part of a last gasp push to get her deal over the line amid signs that Conservative opposition to her leadership is hardening.
The government will therefore include in the withdrawal agreement bill at introduction a requirement to vote on whether to hold a second referendum. And this must take place before the withdrawal agreement can be ratified.
She added her proposals were this Parliament's last chance to end the political deadlock. May set out 10 incentives in all that will be included in a new Brexit bill, which is expected to come up for a vote early next month. The embattled British leader dangled a series of sweeteners that she hopes can resolve the 3-year Brexit crisis since the country first voted to leave the European Union after 46 years. This includes a promise to give MPs a say on whether to remain in a temporary customs union and a commitment to stay aligned with Northern Ireland should no permanent trade deal with the EU be agreed by the end of 2020. Meanwhile, British Steel collapsed on Wednesday after the UK government said last-ditch talks with its owner, Grey Bull Capital, failed to secure a financial rescue. The government's official receiver has taken control of the company as part of the liquidation process. The High Court in London ordered British Steel Limited into compulsory liquidation, meaning its assets will be sold to help pay debts. Some 5,000 people are employed by British Steel, and an estimated 20,000 more have links to the firm's supply chain in various places around the world. The UK's second-largest steelmaker had sought £30 million in government support after Grey Bull Capital and lenders agreed to inject £30 million. The company had initially sought £75 million from the government. The collapse of the company, which blamed its troubles partly on Brexit-related uncertainty, will add to pressure on the government in the run-up to the European Parliament elections on Thursday. And that wraps up 7 Edition this evening. I'm Shafika Razali. Thanks for watching and good night.